Hello, good morning, good evening, whatever time zone you're in. It's very nice to see you, and I can see people are coming. So let's maybe wait another 2-3 minutes and we'll just kick the meeting off. Okay, fantastic. So good to see you here and so good to see that you're active in the chat. So as you noticed, most likely, there's as well Martin helping me, and he will be trying to answer your questions while I'm talking, actually. So today's session will be about the optimizing 3D assets to get them prepared for EON-XR. So last session was, from my side at least, was regarding the marketplace and getting the new assets. And now we'll talk a little bit about how to prepare them the best way so you can use within the platform. So once again, quick reminder about myself. So my name is Bladowski. I'm the in EON Reality trainer as well as marketplace manager. My background is architecture, and I'm based in Poland. What we're gonna take on in this session is to recognize what are the elements that will influence the performance of whatever you're gonna try to upload regarding the 3D assets, of course. You will learn few tools to increase the performance of your models. And I will just take on one advanced method that might just give you a tip how to deal with your textures. And I will show that in 3D Studio Max, but this is possible to do as well in different pieces of software. I just show you the way of thinking over there. So yeah, let's do it. So what are the questions that are coming back in regarding the 3D assets, right? I hear them all the time, and one, of course, is the models were already created, right? We bought them, we use them for this, we use them for that. Why we need to change anything? They work, right? So you need to think a little bit globally and a little bit as well historically, in a way, because when we started to deal with those 3D models and when artists started to upload tools, for example, TurboSquid or CG Trader or another platform, the clients, the target users, were those who were doing most likely ARC visualizations, right? So it didn't matter that much how clean the mesh was, how many texture used. It just, you could do very complex elements, and it was as well required to do it as detailed as possible in geometrical way, many times. So you can see here, I mentioned this ARC visualization, and I remember even myself, if I worked on one computer and if I wanted to do like certain quality, it was one frame in 2 days, and I heard people doing one frame in 7 days. Then when I moved to some office that was doing it, actually, I have it on my experience path. Then we had like 50 computers behind the wall that were doing for us the calculation, and that still was like 1 hour or something, because we just had to produce one frame, print it, put it somewhere in the city, and that worked perfectly for our clients. Now, when we're talking about the movies, and I'm talking here about like like Pixar movies or things like that, you figure out it would be 24 frames per second or even 60 frames per second as well. And but to render that, it's again a lot of time and post-production as well. Now, what happens in games and mobile games or PC games, we face with the reality that we need to render as many frames as possible and they need to look good. They need to be believable in some way. And if they go less than 60 or less, at least than 30, you're going to see jittering and all that weird things. So you can see that there's a big difference in development between ArcViz and game, and how quickly that needs to be prepared. And when we compare the movie and the game, well, in the game, you can't predict what's going to happen, because that depends on the input of the player, right? So how the scene going to look like, we have no idea before the player hit the key, or before that player will do some interaction. We have no idea. So we have no way to prepare other than prepare our assets in a reasonable way. And even if we look further on the VR game, when we are using the VR glasses, then we need to be ready to send 90 frames, and that's not only per second, but as well per eye. So it's like even 180 frames that we need to think about. Maybe that's then low, maybe sometimes lower resolution, but in the future we'll be going further and further to have higher resolution, right? So if you think about that for now, the VR game needs to render 15 million times more or quicker than when we prepared something for ArcViz. That's crazy, right? So there must be some things when we pick the older model that was not prepared directly for the gaming industry or for the gaming for mobile. We need to at least consider making something to make it a little bit better. And I hope that makes sense. That we have 15 million reasons for that. So yeah, that's just image how it looked back in the day. If you never actually seen how those pictures for the rendering look like, you can see there's some very good computer rendering it. It's like it has like 20 threads, you can see here, and you can see one of the part of the process. Like here you can see it's pre-pass in V-Ray, in 3D Studio Max. So that was more or less how the process looked before. And here is how many times you can see it on mobile. I looked for some mobile game, and you have no way to predict it, and you have to have it right now. So so it's totally different story. You just need to deal with this in some way. And as well, there's a development if we are talking about the devices, right? So we started with not even with those, right? We've started with the caps and the line between them, and then we are in the some era of the smartphones that are even foldable at the point. And some of the smartphones are more powerful than probably laptop that I'm working on at the moment, like the newest iPhones or the newest Samsung phones. They would be really, really powerful. And I just digged a little bit, and iPhone claimed that from 2007 to 2014, the performance went up 50 times. So that means, okay, that's fine. We have this improvement. That means we can give higher quality models, more detailed, more textures. So in 2007, it would be like Minecraft kind of looking experiences. In 2014, it would have something much more sophisticated, but still, it was some time ago, right? So here I have as well another graph that this is just a score, like on a Geekbench 4. And you can see the comparison between different, if you compare those two slides, right? So now you need to consider one thing. So you have iPhone 13, you are using some models and you are testing it for your students, and it barely works. You need to say, okay, so it barely works for my iPhone 13 or for my iPhone 12. That means my students who maybe they cannot afford it, like they need to pay their tuition, whatever, and they're using iPhone 6. That means you need to optimize your model, because you will play on that. Then your students will come to your class, and you say, oh, so this is what you had to look at home, and you can see it works on my phone, but it doesn't work. Yeah, that can happen. That can happen if this is the situation that you put like extremely detailed model, not optimized, and works on yours, but it might happen that some people might not be able to access it. So you can see actually on Samsung, it's actually a little bit surprising for me when they went from Galaxy S10 Plus to Galaxy S20 Ultra. It went a little bit down, but now I'm pretty much sure that in, for example, S22, I've seen the difference myself a lot, because I was actually testing Galaxy S6, S8. That was a huge difference in use. And then between S8 and S22, it's another big gap. I was testing them with quite big simulations, and it's just hell and heaven if we're talking about that. So that's another thing to consider. And then as well, of course, we discussed how many polygons I can use. So actually, the question before was about the textures. Now it's about polygons. It all links, and you shouldn't really give the direct answer to that. That's because of those phones generations. That's because of the programming level as well. But both things, texturing and polygons, and as well the numbers of the objects in your scene, they decide on how well performing will be your scene. So as I said, it's not that simple. But if we have to do it, if we have to give you some answer on this, you can see we have some recommendation. And those recommendations initially were based on sixth generation, which is iPhone 6 and as well Samsung Galaxy S6. So we initially started with those, and then development started. So when we're using actually those models, we're saying polygons count, it would be nice to have 100,000 triangles, and it could go up to 1 million. Now, when we are a little bit few years later, we can say it's still very good when you have 400,000, and that's a lot of triangles to use, believe me. Then when we are talking about the textures, there's some requirements, right? There's some requirements. I will explain it a little bit better in a second. But in general, we would recommend to use textures that are 1024 by 1024 and not use too many of them, right? So we would say maximum use 16 diffuse textures, but it would be nice if you use less. It's possible even to use 1-2 textures, and your model would look very, very good if you do it smartly. So let's just get deeper into the textures itself. So we would like to have the textures to be square in the first place. So must be square, height equals width, so x. Now, why is that? Because if you are talking about how mobile phone works, so I'm considering you could use your textures on PC, you could use it with head-mounted display somewhere, but we need to look on the lower performing device, right? And if you will send to iOS phone a texture that is not square, that means its height is not equal width, then it will compress itself on the graphic cards. Will it work? On simple one, it will work. Could it be better? Yes, it could be better, because we don't want to give our graphic cards extra work, right? So if we can change something to be square, let's do it. And then you can see that the minimum height and width must be at least 8. If we give it less, would it work? It will try to scale it by 8, and maximum we would like to give 4K 96. And you can see it's each time 2 power of 2 once again. So 8 is power of 2, it's 2 to power of 3, to power of 4, 5, 6, and so on and so on. So each time we just multiply by 2. If we won't do it, once again, the graphic card will try to do it for you. It might be able to do it with these newest devices, but you will just lose your part of your memory, which is not what you want to do. Okay, so we have here a few strategies that you might want to use, and for those who would like to get in there, we'll do the handout of the slides before. After, I mean, so you'll be able to just look on those few tips, and I would like just to show you a few methods how we can approach it, how we can approach not only textures but as well the geometry. So I would like to first open the application called 3D Builder. 3D Builder is something that it might be installed on your, if you're using Windows, it might be installed on your Windows. It doesn't need to be. So if it's not, you just go to the Windows store. It's free application. It's made by Windows, so you should be able just to get it. And in 3D Builder, you are able to create the simple shapes as well as edit some of them. So you can see I can create a new scene. I can open something that is existing on my computer. All possible. I will create a new scene. And I would like to insert some simple shape just to show you how easily I can edit it. So maybe let's put a sphere over here, and maybe not on the sphere. Let's put maybe something else like a torus. So I just move the torus to the side so you can see actually. Let me just do something here. So I'm a great modeler, and you can see how in 10 seconds I created a ring. That was the quickest modeling class you ever took, I guess. So what we can now, I'm thinking, okay, that's going to be very, very small in my scene, and it's taking too many polygons. Look, the triangles here, like there's no need to having as many, right? So what we can do, we can go to edit. We can maybe deselect all. So here we have sticky selection. Here we have deselecting. I deselect all, and I pick one of the models that I would like to edit. So I click on that, and I can say simplify. And we'll go for the reduction level. So 1. So you can see how it's trying to cut. It's trying to still keep the shape. So, but you can see it was 20,000 triangles. Why we would use 20,000 triangles here, right? There's no point in that. So I can go even further, and look, out of 20,000 triangles, we have 3,000, right? So that's huge, huge difference, but not in shape. Shape is still looking okay. Let's see one more step, and now I can see it's edgy. So maybe I don't want to make it edgy. I would like just to make it a little bit higher. So you can see, actually, it went from 3,000 to a little lower, and I like how it looks like. So let's keep it like this. And then I can maybe deselect again, select the other object, simplify it as well. So let's see. Let's have 2. Perfect. And as I said, it as well, it's important if it's one object or is it 2 objects, right? And sometimes you would like to keep inside the platform to have 2 elements because you can explode them. But in this case, I'm going to say, and that is just a ring, and I would like to merge it. So now I click merge, and that is 1 object, right? Yeah, I can do a lot of different things in there. I can put a texture, so you can see there are possible way of putting a brush or stick. I can just give it a color. So let's see here, maybe, even better, I give it a material, right? So I can select some material. So if you never use the 3D builder, you can see I can give it a material, so it can be a golden ring. And you see, I could do it before I merge it, right? Then I would have straight away 2 different elements in here. I could as well remove it and add it again. But let me just use a little bit of the texturing work here. You can see it can work really, really well. So I could use a brush, but maybe that's not the best texture that I'm using. So I'm not gonna import a new one. So let's use this watery one. So you can see I can change the scale. I can use it straight as it is. I can still move it. So let me just maybe use the stick here. So I just change it a little bit here. Apply. And another one, maybe here. Scale it. Apply. Yeah, let me just leave it at this point. If you wanted to do something more about that, you could. You can see you can easily in this program edit those things, right? And what we did, we actually added the texturing, and we were able to merge the objects, and as well to remove some polygons without even losing the quality of the object, right? So we won't see those triangle cuts in the program. So we could just save it. So the best format to save it is GLB format, and I will just say ring GLB, save, and that's ready to get to the AVR platform. So that would be our ring. Okay, let's close this one. Do I want to save the scene? I don't want to save the scene. And I will open now 3D Studio Max. So for that, I have prepared a few textures. They are linked with EON. This is the EON-XR. This is some old EON banner with some historical signs. This is the old view of the platform, and there's another texture that is showing some mixed reality elements. So what I would like to do is to put them on the 4 billboards. So I have 1 billboard prepared here, and I'll just copy. Let me just think if, yeah, maybe I put it something like that. Okay, so let's do it. Let's apply some textures. So we have those textures applied. That was quite straightforward, right? We can see how that looks like, even when it's rendered. You could see that now it's taking a lot of time to render those 4 banners. Even you can see, I hope you can see, like you could see how it was like rendering in the background. If I click it once again, you can see it here. Like for that simple thing, it's taking a couple of seconds or like few good seconds. And you need to imagine that we need to do it 60 times or 90 times per second in in our reality, right? So we have some problems with those textures, right? First of all, you can see how you can see how they line up, right? But the problems for me are if I go for the details of those, view details, you can see the size are small. That's fine if we're talking about how much memory in general they are taking. But you can see the dimensions; they are not good, right? You can see no actually texture free is done in the correct format, and that's because it was the icon prepared for the Android phones, most likely, right? This is something that you can see if you installed EON-XR. This is something that you can see on your iPad or on your Android phone, and this is how you can find it on your phone. So that's why we put it to 1024 by 1024. So one of the mystery of life is solved, I think, here. And what I would like to do, I would like to resize those textures. I would like to resize those textures and make sure that they're gonna be in the required states. So let's work with the first one. Let's go for the edit. So you can see it's pretty nice picture. And it's very important now, the decision that I'm gonna make, right? Because maybe for my lesson, it's important to see some details like text, like time. And if I scale it down, it might be unreadable. So maybe I would like to scale something up in one dimension and scale something down in another dimension, right? So that is very important decision which you're doing here, because it's not always going down. It must be smart decision, right? So what I'm gonna decide, I'm gonna scale it down here a little bit, not maintaining the aspect ratio, 48, and I will scale this up in vertical to be a square. Okay, so what you can see here is that I distorted this, but doesn't matter for this what I did. It doesn't matter for the 3D. It does not. It just helps our mobile. So if I go back to here, you can see it still looks the same. It still looks the same. So it didn't affect how the texture is laid around our object. So you can freely just edit the texture to save some memory on our device. So let me do it with the two other textures. Okay, so let's do, we can maintain, no, we shouldn't. So the best I think would be 512 by 512. So scaling down both. Okay, save. And the third one, so that one is pretty small. Resize. So maybe if it's so small and I would like maybe to see the logo well, I will go up. That is my decision that I would like to do. So I will actually go 512 because I have just 4 textures. That should be just fine. And save. So I have now 4 textures. You can see the square. I can go to the details and see the dimensions. I can see the size of them. So all looking good. Let's go back to the 3D Max and you can see everything is the same as it was, just fine. I could change some layout, how they lay out. For example, here, I'll just do this for the example. Not on a group, I wanted just to open the group. And I can click on that plane that I have here and go for unwrapping elements. So this is for the advanced users. Don't worry if you don't know or you won't remember how to do it. Just important that I can just change the layout, how it looks like. So let's say I would like to change the mode to see the map. Can I see the map? Here I can see the map. So I can see the picture and I can now make sure that it actually lays out the way I prefer. So here I can just select the UV, the model, and scale it or move it the way I want. So let's say I will just scale it this way, so I can see a logo. See, it's low quality, but it doesn't matter that much. So I just maybe wanted to just pick one of the elements of the texture. You can see it is stretched a little bit, so I could maybe. Oh, okay, fair enough. So I'm just using part of the texture, and this is unfortunately not very effective in a way, right? So let me make sure that this is saved into the mesh. So I will convert it to the poly. This is the advanced part here, that how you can merge few textures into one, so you can actually save much more memory in here. So here we have those posters. Poster 1, poster 1, poster 2, and poster 3. And what we could do is we could unwrap them all together, and but do it in the other channel. So those who know some of the 3D software, Blender, for example, or Max, which I'm using, or Maya, they should be able to do the same thing. So what I would like to do, I would like to use different channel. The UV has like 3-4 channels that you can usually use, and you can people are usually using them for just laying down different types of textures. So the reflections are on different scale than the diffuse, or the normal is on different scale. So this is useful to make sure that the patterns that we are using are not repeating for things like grass or the ground. So I will just change the channel, and I would like to copy the information from the initial channel, from the channel 1. So in this case, I'll click Move and open my UV editor. And you can see we have this one UV unwrap, which we just changed. So this is why actually I did it. So you can see it, how it's moved. And all other UV spaces are in the same area here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select all of them, and I'm just gonna put them somewhere in this workspace. So I just gonna use the automatic tool. Maybe I shouldn't do it. Maybe I should recognize that this has more details, right? So this should take more space. I can do it. That's not a problem. But give that more space than the other objects. So you can see I can make it bigger, and then I can do the other smaller. Okay. So, but I'm gonna just once again just pack it. And that's it. Then when I pack it, I'm gonna save it, save my project, and I need to bring all those elements to be one. So let me just make it editable poly, convert to editable poly. Let's go to the attach mode, and I will attach. Okay. 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 And once again, it's I'm using here 3D Studio Max, but for this thing, you should be able as well to do it in Blender. For example, so this is called baking, which I'm gonna do right now. So we're gonna bake the texture. So we go for the environment. Sorry, no, not for environment. You will go for the bake to render to texture here. This is the element I would like to use. That is usual for me. I have some error here in the Max, so sometimes it shows me a window. Okay, so I have this textures here. I need to change some settings. So first, general settings, when it's gonna be saved, I'm gonna save it on my desktop. And textures, so select the folder. Then what I would like to do is just to make sure that I'm using the existing channel. So I'm taking it from the channel 2. and everything what is on channel 1 will be baked on the channel 2. And then I would like to pick what type of the map. So you can pick diffuse, you can pick normal. I will do diffuse. This is my albedo. You can change the type. It doesn't need to be Targa. It could be, for example, JPEG. And most likely that's the one that you would like to do. Save. And I would like to give it higher resolution. Because even if it's too high, then I can manually scale it down, right? So let's give it 2K. We could even give it 4K and then decide to scale it down. But I think 2K will be good enough. And then I will hit render. So you can see now my textures will start to appear at the one texture sheet. I didn't use the space most effectively. If I would have it to do it for like a real project that I will be uploading, I will spend maybe more time thinking what should be bigger, what should be smaller. Does it need to be square? Maybe I don't want to make it square then. Maybe I want to keep the proportion of actual picture, right? So I can pack it together in the smarter way. But for now, this is what we have here. So again, we can appreciate how long it's rendering here. Almost pixel by pixel. As you see, I have 8 threads. It's not that bad, and those threads are not that small as well. We should have this baked textures in a second. So a few more moments. If that would work, if the games would work this way, you know, we would be in a bad place now ourselves. Because we'll never see anything like real animated or things like that. That's why, once again, one of my slides explained this process. And I think it's almost here. Just one more line. Perfect. And let's check if it's shown up in the textures. Yes, it does. So we have 4 textures here. On one, we can investigate the quality. So if I zoom in, I can see how well they are. You can see we lost quality here because it's just part of the smallest textures we had. But look on itself as well. It's 2K and it's 590 kilobytes. So it might just work better than what we had before. So I can just close those windows. And now I could try to give it to my objects. So let's bring this texture. How am I gonna do it? I would like maybe just drag and drop it here, this texture, to be on the first poster. And you can see it looks strange at minimum, right? And what we wanna do then is to drag it back here. So we have it as a material. And now I just want to check if it's gonna work fine, right? So I go for the UV unwrap, and I know that the information about how it should be laid out is on the second channel, and you can see unwrap UVW says, okay, we're using channel 1. So I will go up to channel 2, and I don't want to move the information. I don't want to overwrite it. So I'll say, no, don't do anything. Don't copy it. Abandon. We are in channel 2, and bring information from channel 2 to channel 1. And then copy and overwrite it. Look, we are using one texture, one material, and it looks the same. So instead of 4 textures, we're using one texture. And moreover, like now it's one object, right? The poster is not existing in here, and this is the reason why I saved it once before, but I didn't save it after. So what I would like to do, I would like to open the recent, open the billboards, don't save. So now we have our scene before we put this object together. I'm gonna bring again, that's not the material that I'm looking for. Where is my texture folder? Textures here. I'm gonna bring my poster diffuse material. Perfect. You can see again, it's looking not the way we expect, but I can go back to the channel 1 and you can see it works. So now it works just only for this material because I overwritten only this material here. So I can just pick it and drag it, and you can see the same material picks the right texture in the right spaces, right? So this is this most advanced trick that I wanted to show you today. And we have like maybe 10 more minutes. So if you wish to have any questions that Marcin has not answered, then it's great. If not, then I'm gonna say thanks. So there's a time that I can just take a look on the question. So if you're thinking about, for example, later taking a look on the how we can do it on different software, this is something that we might show on the further on the next some next webinars, not on this one, unfortunately, because at the moment I'm mostly using here Max, but as well I'm preparing the processes for the Blender, for example, as well. But obviously, the process looks here like that, but it's available on different softwares as it was mentioned. Okay. So I think I see a lot of answers here from Marcin. So I'm assuming that everything is answered. So once again, thank you very much for being here with me. Oh, okay. So Marcin is already taking it. You can see. Okay. Thank you very much. So yeah, if we're talking about rendering in 3D directly on the mobile, yes, it's not available as you said at the moment. But if you have the head-mounted display, you can play it on the head-mounted display. And as well, there's version for Oculus Quest. And if you play that as well, this is something to consider. So the thing is, you need to know what are your students, and you need to know what would you demand from there or your target group. So if you say, okay, we're not even gonna use it using the mobile devices, then it's fine. You're gonna all use on the PC. You can go for higher standards, and you know all your students have the Alienware or something like that. Fine. But if you're thinking about students that will use it at home using their smartphones, then then you need to think about scaling your assets. Yeah, so this is your consideration, of course, and maybe you would like to share outside of your institute, or maybe you would like to share globally. If you share asset globally, it's good to have it well optimized. Okay, so once again, thank you very much. Hopefully you're gonna come on the next webinars. I wish you a great day, and yeah, 2 more days and it's weekend. Have a good one. Bye-bye. I think the good way to start would be on our support page. So there should be some information. So if you write maybe an email to me or to Marcin, we can give you a direct some direct links. Lutz. Ciao. Bye bye.